imagine if this was a white guy punching a black lady. You would have BLM out on the street rioting. You would have them burning down businesses, burning down cities, burning down neighborhoods. Hi everybody, welcome to the Amir Khan Show. It is Sunday, August 9th at the time of this recording, and today we're going to be talking about two particular events that happened earlier this week. Number one, we're going to be going to Charlotte, North Carolina, where a man goes around sucker punching white women, and he's done this for many years and he's gotten away with it. And number two, we're going to be talking about the state of New Jersey and how they're furthering their agenda of transgenderism into schools, and if you're a parent, you should be very concerned about that. So let's dive right in. Number one, so I'll play this video. I do want to give you guys a viewer discretionary here, and I don't know, likely that social media will take this video down, and you could watch the full video yourself on X with the sound on. So here you have a guy named Daquan Schaefer Hunt who goes around and sucker punching women, particularly white women. So it is race-based. There is a racial element to this. Now, you just saw him knock out this poor white lady, unconscious. She's unconscious, and he's continued to verbally harass her and physically assault her as she is knocked out unconscious. Now, you could see in her hands that she had flowers or balloons, so she might have been coming or going to the hospital to, deliver some sort of, or visit someone in the hospital, something like that, you could say, or maybe going to some sort of celebration. But looking at Mr. Hunt's background, he has been arrested 9 times from 2023 to 2025. So in just 2 years, he's been arrested nearly a dozen times. And you should ask yourself, why is someone who has a career criminal history longer than a New York City block, why is he continue to be out on the street? Well, it's because I've said this and I'll continue to say this: blue states, blue cities continue to let out violent criminals. We've abolished or have gotten rid of asylums, and we need to bring those back, but I think we also need to bring back punishment in terms of the 3-strike law. Now, if you guys remember what the 3-strike law is, this is when this was a Bill Clinton rule where if you commit a crime 3 times, you're going to be going away to prison for a long time. Now, I apologize for that background noise. I do live in an urban city. Okay, that's gone. But that person was jetting it. I hope he's safe. I hope he doesn't run anybody over. But so now imagine this for a second. Now imagine if the shoe was on the other foot. Now imagine if this was a white guy punching a black lady. Now, you would have BLM out on the street rioting. You would have them burning down businesses, burning down cities, burning down the neighborhoods because if it was a white man doing this to a black woman. Now, also, look at how many news outlets actually covered the story. Not a whole lot. So not CNN, not MSNBC, not CNBC, not Reuters, not New York Times. None of these outlets covered this story where this guy goes around punching women. By the way, after he had punched this lady and knocked her out unconscious, he tried to do the same thing to another woman, and luckily she ran away. But this is him recording himself just punching women. And we saw what happened in Charlotte, North Carolina just 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, with Irina Zaritsky, where her neck was slit open by another guy named Mr. Brown on a light rail after she was coming back home from a 12-hour shift working at a pizzeria. So now, I would say this isn't just like a Charlotte, North Carolina thing where crime is rampant. It's happening in blue cities all over the place. I'm in New York City almost every day, and I could tell you that I see very similar things where people are just deranged. There's homelessness everywhere. There are encampments everywhere. There's people doing drugs everywhere. I saw someone just dead at 7:30 in the morning about 2 months ago in New York City. Like, if you talk to the cops, they're saying, hey, look, we're shackled. We can't do anything because the city will not allow us. They're not allowing us to enforce the law. And even if we were to enforce the law, we bring these people in, they're out immediately within a few hours. You think they're going to court systems? No, of course they're not going to court. They're not showing up to court. They're not paying their fines. So these things just continue to pile up, and they're continuing to be let out on the street. Now, I've said this, and I'll continue to say this, that we need to enforce the law. You can never not enforce the law too much. It's like saying you can never not have a cleaner house. You can never have better school systems. You can never not have cleaner cities. So you can never not enforce the law too much. And what I mean by that is bring back 3-strike laws, open up asylums, and number 3, if these people do not want to go into the housing facilities shelters that we taxpayers pay for instance, you look at New York City, they pay $85,000 per homeless person, and yet these people are not going to these shelters. So if you're not going to go to these shelters, I would say, you're not going here, we're going to ship you to an island. We have many islands. The United States owns many islands that are just sitting empty. There's no one there. I would create bedding. I would create some sort of housing for them and food for them and say, you're going over there. You're going to live there until you're ready to be acclimated into a normal functioning society. We'll assess that. But until you get off these drugs and you're ready, you're going to be on this island. Guys, I would clean up all these states, all these cities so fast. People would wake up the next morning and say, wow, why is it so quiet outside? Wow, why are our cities so clean? They would think we're in utopia. That's how fast I would get these cities cleaned up, because I would just send them all to an island. So that's what's happening. Again, not a whole lot of news outlets cover this. BLM, again, you don't see, where are the BLM folks? Why are they not talking about this? And why are they not condemning the black crime that we're continuing to see in these states? Why are they not addressing the fact that the black community represents 14% of the American population, yet they commit majority of the crime in America? So I won't get too much into that, but that's just what the stats say, okay? And the second thing we were going to dive into, we're talking about the transgender students, the policy that New Jersey is implementing. So let's go into that for a second. So I'll put this up and you guys can see it for yourself. This is the transgender student guideline or guidance for school districts. Now, I'm not sure why it skips from 2 to 4 to 6 to 7. Not sure why it does that, but if you look at the stuff that's highlighted in yellow, we could read through it. Parental consent is not required. So student-centered approach is saying that parental consent is not required. A school district shall accept the student's asserted gender identity. Parental consent is not required. So if you're a parent, you should be livid hearing that school systems are telling your kids they could do whatever they want. So let me give you guys an example. When I was 10 years old, I remember some kids are kids. Kids are mean. Some kids picking on me, joking with me, messing with me, asking me this question, hey, do you love your brother? And I was like, of course I love my brother. That's my brother. I love him. And they're like, well, you're gay because you love your brother. And as a 10-year-old, you start to internalize. And so you start thinking, oh my God, but I got this crush on this girl named Lucy in school, but maybe I'm gay because I love my brother. Oh my God, I love my brother. I'm gay. Oh my God. Now, this was when you did not have phones. This was when you did not have laptops. And well, you had laptops, but they weren't like, you can't just access, like go on a laptop, it was nothing immediate is what I'm getting at. So, but nowadays, imagine some kids being bullied in school about their identity, right? Or their sexuality. And next thing you know, like you just go on a rampage. You could ask AI, right? And AI, kids think that it's God. So you just get into this rabbit hole and you could just never climb out of it. So now you have school systems pretty much pushing that identity that, hey, if you're a boy, you want to mutilate yourself, you want to cut off your genitalia, then you could do that. Rather than school systems in New Jersey and just public schools in general, focusing on STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, rather than that, they're pushing this stuff. This is where your taxpayer paying, this is where your tax dollars are going to. It's pretty tragic. So let's go to number 4 here, confidentiality and privacy. School personnel may not disclose information that may reveal a student's transgender status. Ridiculous. Again, there's no such thing as a transgender child. It's either you're male or you're female. This is ridiculous. This is a shame. Now, if we stay on number 4, we come down here. Those measures may include the facilitation of counseling for the student and the student's family to the faculty, the family acceptance and support of student transgender status. Again, there's no such thing. We're seeing what's happening with the WNBA, where now you have two ex-NBA players who have come out and said, look, we're going to go and try out for the WNBA. WNBA now has is saying, we're going to look into this, and we're going to look into our policies and make a final judgment and say, look, and likely we all know they're going to say no, of course not. You have to be a biological female. You got to have XX chromosomes. And you got to have a uterus. And again, it's number 6. Let's go down to 6. It says activities. It says, with respect to gender segregated classes or athletic activities, including intramural and interscholastic athletics, all students must be allowed to participate in a manner consistent with their gender identity. Again, we just spoke about this, WNBA. This is ridiculous. You should not have men in female sports. You should not have female in men's sports. And then it says use of faculties. All students are entitled to have access to restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities in accordance with their gender identity. Again, if my kids, if I found out that there are men going into my daughter's locker room to change, I would be livid. As a parent, you hearing this, you should be livid. You should be going to the school systems and causing a ruckus and making sure that this stuff is never accepted in a schooling system. It is dangerous. It is a dangerous ideology, and we should not be discussing this. Instead, we should be talking about why our kids can't read, why our kids can't do math, why our kids, after they're in college and they've graduated college, why are they going to job interviews and bringing mommy and daddy with them to job interviews? This is extremely dangerous, and I encourage all parents to fight back on stuff like this. And ideologies like this is going to likely push myself and my wife out of the state of New Jersey. We are considering it very seriously. Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a blessed weekend and have a great week ahead. Bye now.